Hi guys, Crystal Cox here, and I'm going to do several videos on this topic, probably, well, for the rest of my life. Okay, I want to talk to you guys today about Marc Randazza and how he wins his cases. What kind of tactics that he uses to bully people, to get information, to steal information, how he uses the courts, subpoenas, how he uses himself as an attorney for himself, he uses other attorneys. Let's see how he emails people and threatens them and makes them think he's going to sue them. Let's see, all these little tactics. And also I will end up doing several videos on David Amen of Tonkintorp. This is just to give you guys an idea of what lawyers do, what kind of power that they have, which is like this all-reaching power. They sue you and they have a right to do whatever they want in your life. And you really have no rights. Okay? If you have an attorney, you can fight back some, but if you're pro se, the courts really don't hear you. It doesn't matter what you say, they'll always take the lawyer over you, even if you're a liar, thug, and a thief, like Marc Randazza, or you just really go outside of the bounds of the law, like David Amen. So, this video is going to be one of several about Marc Randazza and how he wins his cases. Okay, and he wins a lot of cases. Has he ever lost a case? I'm not sure. When I first started talking about Marc Randazza, I got some tips of what give him his connections, you know, because the rumor mill says that he has judges in his pocket. He can really do no wrong. He can never get in trouble, and he's got judges, and he's got a whole team of legal bloggers and media, and you know, they listen to him, and the ones that don't know him or do as he says, they follow the other ones, right? He can do whatever he wants on the internet. He's very powerful on the internet, very powerful in the courts. He's never had anybody in his entire life stand up to him as I have. And I've lost over and over. I've lost domain names. I got my ass kicked pretty much. But I'm still alive, and I'm going to give you guys a few tips. Because, you know, odds are pretty high I won't still be alive at the end of this case. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Randazza versus Cox, or that Marc Randazza used to be, he was negotiating for me after my big case. He wanted to represent me, and I chose Eugene Volokh, and we've been at war ever since. He claims that's not it, though. He sued me over a trademark, because he claims that I stole his good name, right? And I profited from it. Which is absolutely false. He swears perjury under oath that I posted something on the internet, and then I asked him for money to remove it. Not true, never happened. He swore I had a blog about his daughter. Never happened. He swore that I called his wife a slut. Oh, I did call her a slut. Why? Oh my goodness. You know he was talking about Sandra Fluke and saying Rush Limbaugh can call her a slut if he wants to. It's un-American to silence Rush Limbaugh. Well, it's un-American, Marc Randazza, to silence Crystal Cox. He has taken away Facebook pages. He has shut down WordPress blogs. He has shut down Blogger blogs. He has taken my domain names. He has publicly humiliated me with WIPO, lying, saying I was guilty of extortion, saying Elliot Bernstein's guilty of extortion. He's brought in Monica Foster, which is a woman inside the porn industry that is an investigative blogger that exposes people in the porn industry, exposes organized crime. He's brought in Diana Grandmason, who is also an investigative blogger and a registered human traffic victim. He's brought all of these people into this case with me, and he's just ruining people's lives. Why? Because he's trying to hide his own things that he's associated with. I believe he's connected to organized crime. But for me personally, it was the fact that I said, no, Marc, I won't do what you say. I won't shut up and do as you say. It all happened over a $10 domain name that I really would have gave him. I didn't know him. I hadn't written on it. He wasn't going to take my case. I'd already fired him because he was being a total ass to me. And so I would have, like I said, if he hadn't have been so aggressive. But I emailed him and asked him if he knew anybody that had a job marketing, because he knew that I was really good at it. And he said he agreed that when we talked on the phone. And he said that the world needs people like me. And I have that in email from him. And so we left on I thought, a pretty good note. Turns out that was a little full of it. So I asked him if he knew anybody that could market me. And I also told him that I had marcrandazza.com because I got it to market myself. And he went into a rage and hissy fit. And he demanded that I give it to him. And he got so angry with me that I said, no, Mark. And he says, I don't have a right to register a domain name that resembles his name. Oh, but yet he defended the guy that has Glenn Beck raped and murdered a young girl in 1990.com and many other people, right? So if he was on the opposite side of the case, he'd win for the other guy. But you know, he's Marc Randazza, superstar. And after he did what he did to me and Elliot Bernstein and WIPO, then WIPO paid for him to get higher education in his law, whatever the hell he's got, right? So obviously, they're all in cahoots, otherwise known as conspiracy. And a huge conspiracy to shut down Elliot Bernstein. I mean, it's like 12 years old, I view it. They view it technology is worth $13 trillion. I mean, the porn industry makes zillions of dollars a minute off the I view it technology, right? So anyway, I just want to share with you guys, I'm not going to get into the whole case, Randazza versus Cox, which was basically Marc Randazza suing me because he wanted to shut me up, okay? He got an unethical, illegal, unconstitutional protective order, and he took my domain names, took tons of my sites, took over the top 10 of the search engines because, you know, I had like 5 spots, and he wanted it. He's too dumb to get in the search engines like Crystal Cox, so what he does is he pulls out his abuse of the courts, and he just takes the names. That ain't how it works, folks. In the real world, you folks, you sue somebody over a domain name, GoDaddy usually acts within the law when it's the real world, but not Marc Randazza. GoDaddy does whatever Mark wants. And he's got insiders at GoDaddy that moves domain names and steals stuff, and he does whatever he wants. So anyway, I don't even remember where I left off on that story. But I just want to share with you folks kind of some of the things that he's done to me so that you know what attorneys can do and what could happen to you. Okay? Alright, so had marcrandazza.com. Okay, he wanted me to give it to him, and I said no. He emailed me and said, you really want to make an enemy of me? I thought there I was watching a reality show of some Mobs or Us or whatever, but no, it was Marc Randazza. And so I stood up to him. I used his domain, the name marcrandazza.com, to share my experience of what he'd done to me, how he had treated me as my attorney, and to make fun of him, to parody him. And then I got on top of the search engines because, you know, that's what I do. And then I got tips. People emailed me about Mark. Emailed me about Marky Mark or whatever. Emailed me about some Supreme Court case of Mark, I think when he was a teenager. And people emailed me stories of this connection and that connection and this connection. And then I met, well, not in real, well, it's real life, but over the phone and the internet, Monica Foster. And then I started following her blogs, and she is incredible at exposing organized crime. Her blogs about the porn industry, I mean, seriously, all the FBI would have to do is just go and read her blogs and go, okay, 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 right? And so I followed her stuff, and I started posting what she was saying about Marc Randazza and a lot of other stuff in the porn industry. Because the porn industry really needs free speech issues. So they were really interested in my case and, you know, just throwing me in the backseat and shutting me up because they needed it to go away. And then through Monica Foster's sites, I went into and found, you know, Diana Grandmason, which is Desi Fox, and Fox Media Group, and all of her stuff, which was also exposing organized crime in the porn industry. Even though judges make fun of me and everybody's like, oh, she's a conspiracy, it's a true fact. People in porn are forced into prostitution. There is pedophile rings, there is human trafficking, there is organized crime, there is this copyright troll thing where if you download porn because you know, you like it, and then people like Marc Randazza come in and they sue you, they bully you, they make you look like the bad guy, and they get all their legal bloggers to pressure you and blog about the story. Like with my case, he sued me, but he didn't serve me. He just had all of his bloggers post about it. And so that was kind of to intimidate me and get me to kind of just let go of the names and just do as he said. And when I wouldn't do what he said, then he sued me. Okay, so he'll pressure you into a settlement, whatever he's got to do. And he will do this through your friends, through your family, through emailing people, through false subpoenas, through threatening people with subpoenas. And in these copyright issues, you know, you may have a lot of rights, but you don't have the money and you can't stand up to him, okay? He's going to go after you and after you every day, every month for years on end. And then every hour that he's doing that, he's going to charge you for his attorney fees, which is about $10,000 a month for Randazza Legal Group to harass you. So they sue you, they harass you, and they get the courts to make you pay for their legal fees to do it, and on top of all this other stuff, okay? Now, what do they use in the courts as evidence is all of these blogs that are done by lawyers that are friends of Marc's, okay? So the only way to fight back, and in my case, I'm not winning, and I'm standing as strong as I can against Marc Randazza. He's a very powerful and dangerous man. He's connected to very powerful and dangerous people. But I'm trying to give you guys some tips that maybe you will be able to fight back against Marc Randazza doing the same thing to you, or attorneys like him and the tactics that they use. And this particular video probably will miss a whole bunch of it, and I will go back over the docket and what's happened to me, and then I will also do it with the Obsidian Finance case and show you what David Amon did to me, how they force depositions on you and threaten you and hook up with people that will want to kill you, and then later make fun of it. Go, oh, she thinks we want to kill her. Yeah, because you guys said he was going to kill me, and he's been harassing me and stalking me. Everybody's suing me, and you're not going to kill me? Then they're like to the judge, look how stupid she sounds. She thinks we're going to kill her. She thinks I'm connected to this person and that person and this person. He is. Everything I have written on the docket of Randazza versus Cox is fact to the best of what I know. Okay? Everything that I can see that he's written, at least 40% of it, I'm going to say 60% of it, even under false, under perjury or oath or whatever, I call it perjury, he has flat out lied on the docket. But the courts believe him because he's an attorney. He's an officer of the court. So when these attorneys sue you, they're an officer of the court. So they have a right to subpoena anybody in your life, any of your friends, any of your family, and they'll have discovery so they can go over your entire life. So say you're a whistleblower and they sue you. Okay, now they have access to everybody that you've talked to. They can subpoena Verizon, GoDaddy, registrars, your phone records, your house, your electric bills. They can go after every single thing because they're an officer of the court. And so they get all this information, all these connections, and then they can harass other insiders and other whistleblowers, and then it just goes on and on. Now, at first you can be all righteous and like, you're lying and I got the truth. Okay, well that lasts about a day depending on how much money you have. I already had a $2.5 million judgment when Marc came for me, so I didn't really have anything to lose, so I stood as tall as I could. I file motions back as best I can. The courts pretty much say how stupid I sound. But then when I try to get the courts to give me an attorney, they're like, no, you're doing good. So basically, I can't, I'm just back up against the wall. You can't, it's not that you can't win, it's that the attorneys, they're always going to pull something out of their ass, some law somewhere, something going on, and they're always going to keep coming at you. And the only thing to do is to just keep coming back with as much proof as you can get on the docket, okay? And then you want to be able to file Attorney General complaints, Department of Justice complaints, FBI complaints, and try to just get the facts the best you can. And when you get a default judgment or they get a judgment against you, and try not to get forced into a settlement. This is just my opinion. And then you can try to appeal to the higher court and get it more visible, because a lot of times guys like Marc Randazza are connected to the judges. And no disrespect, but I believe that Ronald Green of Randazza Legal Group and Marc Randazza are connected to Gloria Navarro. Okay, she took over the spot for Sandoval, who's now the governor, and there's the Libertarian Party mess, and then the head of the Libertarian Party, they had some meeting with a known pedophile, and the Free Speech Coalition was there, and Monica Foster broke that story, and I put it on all my sites. And basically, they really want to shut up Monica Foster and Diana Grandmason, and so, well, the rumor mill says that actually the people involved, Ari Bass and Sean Tompkins, Ari Bass is Michael Whiteacre. They have said recently on Twitter that Marc Randazza pays them $7,500 a month in order to harass people. Now, for years I've been hearing, well, last couple of years, that Randazza Legal Group is involved in paying people to harass people in porn that try to speak out and tell the truth because they want to shut them up, right? And so mostly I know the stories through the blogs of Diana Grandmason, the Fox Media Group, and Monica Foster's blogs. And they're just incredible information, and naming all the players, and these people really want to shut them up. And so I have all this stuff on my blogs, and they really want to shut me up. And Marc Randazza is doing this all under copyright. Now, he didn't even have a trademark on Randazza Legal Group. He applied for that after he sued me. Okay, now he's saying that Randazza Legal Group is not a plaintiff in the case. It's just him and his wife and his daughter. But yet he took names that say Randazza Legal Group. So basically they just sue you. Like in the Obsidian case, they didn't even sue me for a particular blog post. They just put something out there and then they just fumble around and they go this direction and that direction, and you really, you know, it's just all a big game. And whatever side they're on, they're going to pick the laws on that side and represent that person. And when you're representing yourself, like Marc Randazza, he's the plaintiff, right? But he's also acting as his own attorney. Even though he's telling the courts he's not and he's party to party, it doesn't matter what I say. He comes back with some bullshit and some lie, and there's always a new law for Marc Randazza, right? It's clear that he's a hypocrite. If you look at the, Randon Katz case or whatever, he said that preliminary injunctions were unconstitutional. But then he got one against me. So his hypocritical actions against me should be plain to all of you, okay? His peers do not respect him. I've talked to several attorneys that won't represent me because they're afraid of Marc Randazza's wrath, for one. Also, they have an office policy to not represent any lawsuits against attorneys. Well, the attorney sued me, right? Marc Randazza sued me for millions. So $150,000 for each infringement on his copyright that he didn't have, and a bunch of lies and bullshit. It was actually really a defamation case, and he wanted to shut me up, but he's a First Amendment attorney, so he didn't want to call it that, see? So basically, he took all the names right away. That's what I was going to tell you guys earlier. When you get sued for domain name lawsuits, mostly what GoDaddy's supposed to do, and in general they do, is they freeze it in that account. So they freeze the server, they freeze everything till the litigation is over. But when you're a superstar like Marc Randazza, and the rules are all new and different, GoDaddy's like, hey, whatever. So the judge says, actually Gloria Navarro ruled that Marc can have them, whatever. I'm not really ruled on it. The judge didn't do no First Amendment adjudication. She just took away all my intellectual property, all of my work online, all of my search engine ranking, just because Marc Randazza lied and said I was extorting him. And that I had a blog about his daughter. Never did. Never ever had to prove anything at all in court. He just says so, and Gloria Navarro's like, okay. So then GoDaddy not only freezes them, but actually freezes them in an account for him, where he takes all of my hard work, right? And I've been doing this for 11 years, and I'm damn good at what I do in the search engines, and I'm really strong. And she takes all of my work, all of my intellectual property, all of my proprietary knowledge, and she gives it to him. He redirects it all to one blog post on his blog that is hateful about me, and points to all of his buddies that say, Crystal Cox is an extortionist. You know, Kashmir Hill at Forbes, and you got Jordan Rushy, who's now at Randazza Legal Group. And just a little bit about that. Gloria Navarro pretty much says I'm guilty of extortion, but she don't have the balls to file a criminal charge because, you know, I don't know why she didn't do that. But instead she said, I've extorted him, and okay. Now, the proof that I extorted Marc Randazza is Jordan Rushy's blog, and he was with his own law firm, but I think now he's at Randazza Legal Group. So it was this blog post, and it says all these bad things that Crystal did, and he's a liar. So she calls it a law commentary, and it's the law, and it's evidence, and it's on the docket, and Crystal Cox is guilty, okay? Much like my Ninth Circuit case, right? I won an amazing case for all whistleblowers. You guys all now have equal rights, all bloggers, to any journalist, right? But the judge just threw in a pot shot and said, but, you know, she has a history of posting things and asking for a retraction. No. They got that from an insinuation they made from a New York Times article. I've never been adjudicated for it. I have never been on trial for extortion. I have never been charged with extortion. I have never been under investigation for extortion. I've never ever posted anything online and asked for money to retract it. And if those of you looking at the email of Obsidian Finance Group, look at the date, okay? It was January 19th, 2011. I was sued January 14th for $10 million. I wanted my life back. I didn't want to spend the next 4 years doing what I have been for the last 4 years, okay? It was a settlement negotiation. I had already been sued. Okay, there was 5 emails. They made me 15 offers, which I refused. That didn't get into the courts. Okay, so do your homework. instead of these big media just saying Crystal Cox is guilty of extortion. Okay, so now Marc Randazza, what he's done lately, and that's kind of what I wanted to do this video about some of the tactics, is I've exposed what he's doing on the Randazza versus Cox on the docket there, saying that he's recently filed a lawsuit in a state court in Florida. Okay, so because Randazza Legal Group is also in Florida, so he lives in Nevada, is what the impression I'm under, and I'm in Washington. But he's using a Florida state court to sue GoDaddy in Arizona because of some unique law in Florida that he can do in the state court, that he can sue for pure discovery, and he says it's because he wants to get information for extortion claims against these parties. The parties being Elliot Bernstein and Diana Grand Mason and Monica Foster, my cohorts or my groupies or whatever he called them in the article. Which they're all sources to stories that I've written on. You know, I have never met Monica Foster. I met Elliot once for, I think, one day, few years ago, passing through Boca, and I've never met Diana Grand Mason. They're just, I'm an investigative blogger, and I've been writing about them. So he files in this court. Okay, so then this court contacts GoDaddy, and GoDaddy's like, okay, contacts everybody that I've ever done business with, as far as I can see, and says to them, we are getting ready to let go of your private information. You have 3 days to object. If you don't object, we're going to give it. But how do you object? Well, you have to file with the court where the action happened. Okay? But we're not in the lawsuit because Marc Randazza sued GoDaddy to get information about us. Okay? So he's trying to get private information, financial information, server information, whatever he's looking for all of these people inside the porn industry that are exposing organized crime, and me, who's giving them a voice and trying to expose Marc Randazza. He's trying to get our private information. So he's using a court in Florida, a state court, to do this, to get this information from GoDaddy, and GoDaddy's going to give them the information unless we file an objection. But we got to figure out how to do that, right, pro se, and in that court, and get that court address, because we're not getting any court documents because we're not really a party to that lawsuit. So kind of circumvents the legal system, certainly goes outside of the criminal justice system, even though he's made it clear the reason he's doing this is so that he can bring extortion charges against Crystal Cox. So my last motion to the Nevada courts, I moved the Nevada courts to investigate Crystal Cox, okay? I have asked for an investigation all along. I have asked for the Attorney General to be notified, the FBI, the Department of Justice. I have been ignored. I have been threatened. I have been ignored to have protective orders, but he gets a protective order because, what? Because I'm on top of the search engines higher than him, okay? So clearly there's something wrong here, folks, okay? So let's see, that's just one of the tactics, what he's doing in the Florida courts. Okay, the copyright stuff, he didn't have a copyright, so what they're doing now is, like, he took Randazza Legal Group Sucks.com, okay, but he's fought for other people to keep the Sucks.com, okay, and during the same time, Manwin did the same thing. I think it's Nicholas Bulgin, B-U-L-G-I-N, you can research that case, and it was really similar wording. So they're not adjudicating for free speech issues at all. They're going in, and Mark's helping them to do this, they're going in just under trademark and copyright, and they're seizing the name under a protective order, and then basically they're doing nothing in the courts, and they're just kind of locking it up and making it go away. And then eventually, I guess the courts award them the name, but the courts are locking the name, but they're locking it in the other people's account. But like I said, in Mark's case, they're also allowing him to change the server so he can really stick it to that Crystal Cox, you know, because she's an extortionist. Well, you know, Mark's an asshole, and he's a criminal, and he's a jerk, and he's evil. And if there's a devil on earth, it's Marc Randazza, okay? I have done everything within the law. I have never, ever done anything illegal in my life, okay? And recently, also, as you following my case, you know that he has acted as his own attorney. He has bullied Stephanie DeYoung, which is part of the Obsidian thing. He bullied her about a year ago, tried to get information. She stood up against him. And information about a church I was starting, financial information of mine that she didn't even have, you know, and threatened to sue her and subpoena her and whatever. And he did it again recently in the last few months, and he's got my private information from her just by scaring her because she didn't want her own family sued, and so he intimidated her. He's also done this with a church secretary recently, where he's threatened and bullied that he would bring in the courts and subpoena in order to get information and he's basically trying to set me up. He was also working for the last few years, or 2 years, with David Amon and with Judge Hernandez to set me up for extortion, okay? I don't know why these guys got some boner to set me up for extortion. I mean, if I'm guilty of extortion, let's go, okay? You know, right now I don't have any money at all, and those of you who know that I'm being helped by a church. The only way that I eat is I'm being helped by a church. And so, you know, if you want to get me in jail, give me in jail, okay? But give me a criminal trial. Don't just keep, you know, hitting me and hitting me and hitting me. The courts are making me file stuff. I got no money, but I have to print stuff and I have to keep typing stuff. I can't, all I want to do is start my church and do my spiritual work. But the courts are making me answer Mark, answer Mark, answer Mark. He's perjuring, he's lying, he's full of shit, he's flat out breaking the law and unconstitutional. But I got to keep answering him or I'm going to get default or contempt of court. Okay, what I really want is my life back, okay? I never did anything to Marc Randazza except for stand up to him. Okay? Alright, folks, I don't even know what blog to check out. I don't know, just Google something. Google Marc Randazza Hypocrite or whatever. He's shut down most of my blogs, every blog that's had his name, even M-A-R-K Randazza. I mean, he owns the world. He's like, hey, that resembles me. I mean, I don't know why he doesn't seize asshole.com or prick.com or imajerk.com. I mean, surely he has a trademark on that, right? All right. Well, God bless you all. God has blessed you all. And I'll tell you a lot more on how these attorneys break the law and violate your constitutional rights every single day. And the judges go, oh, okay. Stay tuned.